Hi creative friends, this is Sreya and thank you so much for being here. So before we dive into this, I am just going to show you another spread I've been working on that I am simply over the moon about. Like, I am going to bring this up closer and just look at the delicious color fields that are going on. Oh my goodness, I can barely stand it. So one of the things I just want to point out is I did talk about this in a much earlier video, like maybe 2 months ago when I was talking about still lifes, I think. And I talked about how we paint our larger shapes first, and then we start painting the smaller shapes within those larger shapes. And this is true no matter what we are painting, whether it's a still life, a portrait, a landscape, excuse me, whatever it might be. Everything is made up of shapes, and there are shapes inside of shapes. And you can even take up a like say you can take a big shape and you can break it down into smaller shapes. So say a nose is made up of smaller shapes that are all put together like a puzzle. So like over here, when I do go in, the eyes obviously are not going to, like, this is a big shape, but obviously I am going to now make smaller shapes inside of this bigger shape, so the eye is going to be more defined. But I just want you to look at the color fields. Like, do you see how the whites of the eyes are not white? There are so many different colors and values and textures in that white. It reads as white, but it is not in fact white. And that's the same with any part of the face, like the cheeks or the lips or whatever it is. Like, there are so many different colors in there, but when you look at it, your eye is going to read it as, you're not going to question it. You're going to look at it, and those are the whites of the eyes. But anyways, I am just so madly in love with this piece. Now, the piece that I'm working on, you guys, I'm gonna be honest, I am not madly in love with it, but it is okay. What I am going to do in this video is I am gonna now start placing the features, because when I've been working on the face thus far, I just kind of went in with my brush and I just kind of like just said, oh, the eyes are going to be here and the nose is going to be here. But, the features are not properly placed. But before we jump into this, I just wanted to show you what I meant when I said that I am looking at the face like a sculpture. So obviously this is not a real sculpture in the sense of, I bought it at a museum, at the gift shop. I think it was in Firenze, actually. But the point still holds. So basically, when you look at a real sculpture, everything is more defined. Everything is it's like exaggerated, and there is a practical reason for it. Like, one of the main reasons is because when they made these statues, they wanted it to last for like hundreds of years. And if you make something that is too thin, it's not going to hold over time. Like, it is going to break off. And in fact, a lot of statues, the noses broke off, and, parts of the face or the figure, they have broken off. But when they make it, it is with the intention of it withstanding time. So everything is very exaggerated, and we can use those exaggerations to our benefit as artists. So if you take your finger and you run it over your face, of course your eye socket is going to go in. It's going to be a push. And of course your nose is going to come out. That's going to be a pull. But when you look at a sculpture, everything is more exaggerated. So you can see, say, the planes of the brow bone. You can see, say, the nose. It's just, the lips, for instance, the space underneath the lips. Like, everything, I'm just going to bring this up closer. And then what you can also do, now I know obviously it's going to be difficult to just go and purchase something like this. I would look online, but because I have this, and I have a few other statues as well, you know, I could set it up and then I could put light coming from, say, one angle, and it can really highlight everything. It's really going to throw the shadows into even more shadows. It's going to bring the highlights, uh, you know, into like, it's going to bring out the highlights. So these are really great to kind of get an idea of how to put your dark values for the push parts and then your really light values for the pull parts. So I'm just going to move this off to the side here because I do not want to break that. Oh my goodness. So anyways, let us jump into this portrait. So initially I thought that, you know, because the eyes are not placed properly in relation to the nose and the lips. I think the nose and the lips are kind of okay, but honestly, I don't know if I want to keep the eyes where they are and move the nose and the lips up. I know that would be a bit inconvenient, but I might just do that actually. So one of the things I hope that if you guys are working like this and following along is, you know, to get rid of this sense of perfection and perfectionism and trying to get everything right, you know, immediately. Like, obviously, yeah, you have to get the proportions right at some point, but you know, I was just going in with my values. So yeah, I wasn't, you know, I was just kind of eyeballing things. So if I didn't get everything, you know, just right, it's okay. I'm not really gonna be worried about it too much. And interesting things can happen because this is not the first time this has happened, by the way. So I'm actually glad that it's happened on camera because I just want to reassure you that it's okay and really cool things can happen when, you know, when we misplace things. Like, you just never know how it's going to turn out. So yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some collage to build up my pull parts. And because I I'm going to move the lips up, I am going to cover up some of the bottom part of the lip here with my collage. And that's a great thing about mixed media is, you know, we can just cover up as much stuff as we want. So I have to say, you guys, and just by all the portraits that I'm showing you guys, you can probably already guess that I am so obsessed with working in this way. I have completely fallen down the rabbit hole because it's so, like, it's just interesting and exciting to me. And I just like want to experiment. I'm just curious about, oh, let me see, you know, if I do this, and one thing is leading to another, and I'm just so enthralled with the whole process. And that's good. That's good. That's a good thing. Okay. So see, the nose is looking a lot. Yeah, the nose is looking a lot better in relation to the eyes here. I'm trying to think. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, I think I'm going to get my burnt sienna ink here. And I'm just going to kind of, I need to kind of block in some of the planes of the face. Just because I want to start getting my features now. So this is about, I want to say this is about the third layer in. So yeah, now I can start kind of going for my features, my facial features, like seeing, hey, are they where I want them to be? But it's so freeing to have those first few layers just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with it. Like, there is something very freeing about that. Especially with portraits, you guys, because, you know, portraits can be really intimidating, and and then they can end up being a bit too tight, and I like things a little bit looser. So it's kind of like a delicate balance between, you know, you want the portrait to have dimension, you want it to be expressive, you want all those things, but you also don't want it to be like too tight. At least, you know, with mixed media, you know, there's a lot of spontaneity and looseness that happens. Ooh, but there's some delicious stuff going on here. Now, I don't want to turn this into a big mess though, so I gotta be careful. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to add some, I think I'm going to add some of the sepia that I have here. Let's see here. Yep, right here. And I'm going to put it in the eyeballs here. And I'm just going to drag some of that in there. And then I'm going to kind of put some, I guess like, you know, building up the whites of the eyes, which aren't really white, as I showed you in, you know, the portrait when I showed you when I started the video. Like, there are so many different colors in there. Oh my god, I'm loving it. It's so juicy. So I'm much happier with the placement of the facial features here. Now I think I still have to build up the lips at some point, but you know, for right now, I am happy with the way things are in terms of just the placement of the eyes in relation to the nose, in relation to the lips. I think that let me just use some of my burnt sienna here. So you guys, I know, like I said, I wasn't going to buy any more art supplies, and I'm going to hold off as much as I can. But I do love this burnt sienna. But the thing with it is that it can kind of become like a crutch as well, in the sense like I always go to it. I always reach for it. And, you know, when I force myself to use other colors, other art supplies, it just forces me to think outside the box. So I am going to hold off for as long as possible, just so I don't always reach for it. And I still have my burnt sienna paint. Like, I have a big jar of Liquitex burnt sienna paint. It's not the same as the ink. The ink is, you know, it's just a different art supply, but... And I'm just going to kind of spread some of this around. So do you see how she is taking form? She is, like, she does have a lot of personality. Like, look at that, you guys. I know it's still, like, you know, wet and messy, but I'm really liking where she's going now. A lot better than I did when I first started. I think it's because, like, I moved the facial features here. Okay, and okay, you guys, I am going to allow this to completely dry, and then I will come back and work on it some more. But I'm happier with it than when I started, and I'm liking a lot of what is going on here. I'm just gonna blot that out there. Okay. So if you guys have watched all the way to the end, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.